Sorry, Andrew. You're gonna have to come in and get this.
I'll be right there.
You're live. You can.
All right. Good morning, everybody. This is the Franklin County Health and Benefits Committee video teleconference for September the 14th, 2021. We welcome everybody. We have, as part of the committee, Squire Sherry Sebastian and Squire Michael Muller. And also we have with the BIM group, Kyle Stacy, that is here to talk about the different plans and options we have. And so we're excited to see that two things have been accomplished with proposed plans. And that is, number one, that we've lowered the family plan, the plans that we've had been talked about for a year or two now. And also we've lowered the amounts for the out-of-pocket. So those are options on the table. And with that being said, Betty, I'll let you lead off and get us started. Thank you, Betty Rednauer.
Okay, good morning. We'll start with the benchmarking data that our committee members received in their packet. And I believe that was sent to you all with the benchmarking. I'll just kind of sum it up a little bit. With the benchmarking, basically, it shows that Franklin County's premiums overall was pretty good compared to a lot of different surrounding counties and statewide. Our premiums are pretty lower. What we have found with the study is that Franklin County doesn't contribute anything to the family, children, and spouse plan. And that's on the other counties, it varies. It goes anywhere from, I believe, 60% to 90%. And that's what we found with the surrounding counties here, or other counties, not even surroundings, even counties similar to our size that we reached out to. So that's pretty much the benchmarking summary of the information that we found there. Does anyone have any questions on the benchmarking data? Or if Kyle wants to add anything?
Is that Squire Sebastian?
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, I do. I just wondered why some of the communities were selected. I know we had talked about communities that were similar in size and some that were also contiguous to us. And I see several cities on here. And I don't know, when I look at, obviously Bowling Green's larger than we are, Fort Mitchell's as well, Hoptown probably. I find Litchfield on here. And I just thought that was an odd throw in. Can somebody help me with that?
I can. I reached out to all the counties that I was aware of, and that's the counties that participated with us. Or cities. That was their option to participate. And that's the only data I got was what you see on the analysis.
Okay.
And also too, just some information, maybe you all can, the magistrates can look at. The Kentucky Public Human Resource Association is which I'm a part of. They supplied this data. So actually that's on the website. It's Kentucky Public Human Resource Association, and they have this actually on their webpage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Hey, Betty Jo, just curious, do we know all the cities and counties that are listed here? Do they pay 100%?
100% of which plan?
Of their plans that they're showing? Do they pay 100% of their employees' part?
Well, I think that data is on there, isn't it, Betty? Yeah,
I don't believe so. It varies. Some pays 95% of a single. Some pays 80% of family. But it's on there of what they pay of the single plan, family, children, and spouse.
Mm-hmm. I think what Squire Muller's asking, or what I heard him ask, is if everything that is listed on here if they pay 100% of the individual single employee. And so what I'm hearing the HR director say is no.
Let me go over the information that we sent out a couple weeks ago. Let me see if I find anyone. Actually, Scott County pays 100% of employee only. Oldham County pays 100% of employee only. Let's see.
It's all on this form.
It's all on the form there, Michael. Do you have, Squire Muller, do you have that form in front of you?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm just, yeah.
It's
The-
at the
The
bottom,
thing
it
is,
says the
I'm sorry.
employee contribution header. And then if you look under it, it shows what the employee contribution is for the single, the employee plus spouse, or the employee plus children, and then the family.
Okay, I think I was looking at the wrong sheet. Thank you.
Any other questions on the benchmarking?
All right, thank you, Betty. Kyle, do you want to go over the, what the different alternatives or the current, or should we just look at it on the table? How do you want to, what do you want, role do you want to play, Kyle?
Sure, I can share my screen and just kind of walk you through this analysis real quick. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah,
I'll
Sure
blow it up
can.
here a
Thank
little bit. Okay, so this analysis is, it shows you, first of all, in the first column here, it just shows your current 2021 plan design with the 6,500 individual max out of pocket and $13,000 family max out of pocket. And these in the first column here, this is your current contribution strategy. Alternative one just takes your current plan design, and instead of using your current employer contribution strategy, you continue to pay 100% of the single premium, and then you pay 65% of employee spouse, 65% of employee child, and 60% of family. Okay, so your full premiums would be here. Your employer contribution would be here in the middle. And then as it flows to the employee is shown down here at the very bottom. And you'll see the employer increase right down here at the very bottom, highlighted in this blue row. So for this first alternative, the county would experience a $47,000, almost $48,000 increase, and it's an annual increase. If you kept all your benefits the same and just tweaked the payroll deductions to the employee, and obviously they would have an adverse impact to your employees, they would pay almost $48,000 less. Alternative two shows you a little bit of a slightly different plan design. Your maximum out of pocket goes down to $5,000 for individual and $10,000 for family. And then we keep the same employer contribution of 100% for single, 65%, 65%, and then 60% for family. And then, whenever you lower your maximum out of pocket, that represents approximately a 1.7%, I believe, increase in total premium. So you can't forget, that increase. And then if you keep that same payroll deduction strategy, it would represent, the increase here to the Franklin County Fiscal Court of about $63,000. Your employees would save $46,000. And then lastly, alternative three lowers your maximum out of pocket to $4,000 for individual and $8,000 for family. We keep the same payroll deduction strategy. And then you follow the numbers down. This would result in a net increase of $111,000 to the county. And your employees would see a funding decrease of about 42,000. Does anybody have any questions on what I just showed you?
Mr. Stacy, I do. This is Squire Sebastian.
Yes, ma'am.
As you indicated, I think when you launched into this portion of the presentation, this is given the same, this would be our employees maintaining the same plans that they have at this time, launching into next year. So the distributed, material, it's based on that. If the court advances any of the other options, what increases in each coverage category are projected? And I don't know who answers that. I don't know if that's something you do based on some statistical model. I don't know if that's for our HR director. I don't know who field that question.
Were you referring to the net increase here based on if we or lower the maximum out of pocket?
So what I'm saying is given the scenarios here, if the court advances one of these options, okay, rather than keeping the same, we could choose to keep exactly the same that we have right now because the court has already passed that. But if we choose one of the new options that is provided in this distributed material, what are the projected increases in the other coverage levels? So what projected would go from a single plan payee or a non-payee to maybe picking up a different type of plan is what I'm asking. And there has to be some statistical model that indicates that we would see a 10, 15, 20% increase, or maybe our HR director has some idea based on what, the public health, the public HR association guidance maybe that he has.
I don't think I understand your question, but I'll try to answer. I think maybe you're asking do we know what type of increase we would have if more employees and their family and children jumps on the plan? Maybe.
All right. So let me break this down into the absolutely simplest way to ask this question.
That would be great.
Sorry, you all aren't following. So let's say I'm an employee of the county and I have a single plan. Now that I have a different plan option in front of me, potentially, what I could choose a different level plan. I could go to a parent and child. What percentage do we perceive of county employees changing plan options from single and taking up another plan option?
I understand the question. That's pretty hard. Kyle, wouldn't you say that? Or Betty, I don't know whether you can say that. You don't know that. I'm sure there'll be some increase, but to predict that, I don't know what that would be.
There's typically a statistical model in place that would help with that. And I know our HR director has talked about the HR association. So I didn't know in her research if she ran across that number, or if Mr. Stacy, given his history with the BIM group, could also provide just some estimate based on their experience.
Yeah, I don't have that information. I didn't come across that with my research. And I believe Jamie actually said something about this in the last meeting. Kyle, if you can remember, if somebody else can help me here. I can't remember that percentage.
He said it would go up. He didn't give a percentage, but he said based on his experience, this will go up. So
I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I understand that, Kyle. I don't know, Kyle. You got a magic ball there? By chance, or any type of percentage?
We can. I'll tell you what. Let me go back to our actuaries and just see what they see. Find out what they see as a typical ratio.
Okay, great.
For employee spouse and employee children and family, Because obviously, if you change your contribution strategy, yes, there will be an increase, in those categories. Specifically, how much, it's very difficult to say, but we can certainly go back and pull and see what we typically see. But again, it's never going to be the same amongst all groups because of contributions are different, plans are different. So, but we can give you some type of an idea. So let me work on that real quick. Good question.
And I'm going to say this, Kyle, go ahead and work on that, but I'm going to say this in general for even if there is, I do think that we don't want to lose sight of what we're trying to do here is help the employees. If we change this and in part of changing it, we're lowering the cost and providing a good service, a good health plan, then so be it. But that really should be our goal, is what can we do to help our employees? And if, I don't know, whatever number it is, they decide they switch from one to another and they save money, hallelujah, amen. That's what we should be. That should be our goal here, is to try to help our employees and provide them a good plan and at a lower cost than what we have been providing. That's my thought, whatever the number is.
Betty
Judge,
Jo, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Please, someone else speak. There was no negative intent in the question. We were asked if we had any questions. That was covered, as Betty Jo said last time. I just presumed someone would have brought the statistical modeling number to share that information with us as it was covered last time.
Well, I think everybody agrees that there's going to be an increase, and to say what that actually is going to be very difficult. And I'm sure a lot of it depends on where the spouse or children work, or the families, not the children, but where they work. And we're fortunate in our community that state government provides a good healthcare plan, where I'm sure that there are families that go with their spouse with state government because we haven't been competing with that. And the whole idea here is to start competing, because the competition's out there for people to look at. So I understand what you're saying, Squire, and I appreciate your comment, but I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to have an exact science on what this is going to do.
Betty Jo, and maybe Susan is on here, where are we financially in our budget with these plans? So we budgeted for an increase, correct? And we've been
We
delivering.
did, and I actually discussed this with Susan, and I asked her, would there be money in this year's budget to cover the option, a couple of options, and she said yes, because she did budget for a 15% increase. And also we have to keep in mind, this would only be 6 months of that. So
Okay.
we would only use, like, it's just for an example, if we said alternate 2, we would only have to use 31.5 for this year's budget, because it's not the full 12 months, it's only 6.
Okay, so it would not require additional funding to the budget.
No, ma'am, per our treasurer, it would not.
Okay, thank you.
Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Just kind of want to piggyback on you and Squire Sebastian. I guess my question to Betty Jo would be, how many inquiries have we had from people who may be, thinking about adding a family plan or a spouse? Because, I think ultimately we want to do what's best for our employees, but you also have to be fiscally responsible. So that number could go from, say, $47,000 to $250,000. So, hopefully Kyle has something for us there to kind of help guide us.
I've had two in the past couple of weeks. Some of the employees watching the meetings, I had two they said that if one, that may jump on our plan, but they also wanted to wait and see what the state plan was gonna look like too and their premiums. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
We have as well. I did overhear an employee with Judge Wells and literally said she was in tears after she accepted a job here when she found out what her family plan insurance was going to cost her.
Yeah, and along with that, actually, we have a brand new, thank goodness, another jail employee. And I just reviewed payroll this morning and he had a $45 net check.
Are you kidding? Really?
No, I actually went to Vicky and I'm like, is this correct? Or actually she came to me and Laura said, yeah, he's very much aware of it, but he had a $45 net check.
What, does he have a family plan then?
Yes,
Or
yes.
family plan?
Mhm.
Oh, you kidding? Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. I'm going to just take, while you're looking at that, Kyle, and while we're talking, I'm going to just take alternate 2 and just say this, that, and my figures may or may not be correct, but they're rough. For the family plan, our employee with, that has had a family plan and would save about a little over $3,000 in a year. And alternate 2 with the employee spouse would save $168 a month, which would come out to a little over $2,000 in a year. And an employee with a child would save about $137 a month, and that would come out to be about $1,600 a year. And I mean, that just by what you just said, Betty, that would be huge for our employees, a huge savings. And the cost, I guess what we have to, and Michael, you're exactly right on what can we afford, and to keep the cost within within the boundaries. I do think that we can afford to do the 2 things that are being asked of us. 1, lower the premium, and 2, lower the out-of-pocket, and within a reasonable amount. And I believe it's somewhere around 6, if you took alternate 2, and that's about a little over $60,000 in a year to do that. I've been an advocate for a while, and I know that we've had this talk, Squire Mullen, Squire Sebastian, you've been on there for 3 years now, and every year it comes up. What can we do for the families? And last year we couldn't move very well, and hopefully this year we can come up with a plan that we can all live with. Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. So can we look at things other than these 3 options? I mean, in my head, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I'm a little scared to make big changes right now because we don't know what the future is looking like. I mean, could Kyle, is it possible? And I know you're busy running some numbers there, but I mean, can we look at it sounds like the 2 things that, the judges spoke on that our employees are asking about is the 2 top things. Could we go to, from 6,500 to say 5,000 and then max out of pocket down to 10? I mean, and see what that number would look like. I mean,
It's up there, Squire. It's alternate 2. It has exactly what you just asked for.
But that comes with a lot of other things, once we start jumping into spouses and other things. So I was just trying to, like Jamie Bennett and Susan have said before, once we give it and start down that road, we're going to have to stay there. So I'm just not knowing what the future holds because of this pandemic. I'm just a little nervous.
Ask again make your request again. I'm not sure what you're asking for that's not there, Squire. Say that again, what you would like to see.
Well, and maybe I'm looking at this wrong, Judge. So if I am, I apologize. But the number 2 also has monies going towards, families and children and things like that. What I was going to look at was something like our current plan, but just dropping our numbers from 65 to 5,000 and from 13 to 10. Does that make sense, Judge?
That's alternate 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you look in that third column, or I guess actually it's the fourth column from the left, alternate two is the 5,000 individual max out of pocket and $10,000 family max out of pocket.
I
And
think
so-
what Squire Muller's actually asking is not to make not to advance the changes in premiums for each of the tiers. He's asking for the maximum out of pocket to be lowered only.
Correct.
Number one.
So you would like to see modeled the current payroll deduction strategy, which is 100% of single across the board, only using the alternate two plan design structure. So basically, you would take 445.49, which is the whole single premium, and then apply that contribution to all four coverage tiers.
Yes, that's what he's asking.
I can certainly do that. Yes.
Because I think, I think where I'm at is I am looking at the same scenarios that Squire Muller, my fellow magistrate, brought up in regard to the uncertainty of the nature of healthcare going forward. At some point, it is very likely, highly likely, that screenings for the pandemic, vaccinations for the pandemic, as well as increased medical costs because of the pandemic, will bleed over into the healthcare systems that everyone is being covered by, not just county government, not just state government, but businesses, etc. And as the judge brought up earlier, we have, as a benefits committee, been looking, at least from my tenure on the court, at ways to advance care to benefit our employees. But we have also acknowledged, all of us, that as the future is so uncertain, who knew 2 years ago we would be dealing with what we are dealing with now, and the drastic changes in the nature of healthcare across the world. So making huge sea changes in our plan and trying to go forward in such an uncertain environment, I think it's better that we may be better served by making incremental changes rather than drastic changes, because none of us wants to be in a situation next year or the year after where we are revisiting the tax structure and then call for larger tax raises to take care of some things that, because the future is so uncertain for us all. So I would rather look at incremental changes, me personally. So I just toss that out there, given all the comments in regard to the nature of healthcare that we know, and trying to plan for what we don't know. Thank you for letting me make the comment and the clarification for Squire Muller.
Okay. Is that right, Squire Muller? You agree with Squire Sebastian that said she clarified what you were asking for? But
Yes,
so I'll make
Judge.
sure.
Yeah, but basically, I'm looking for a little bit less of a jump right now, just with the uncertainty of everything. So that's basically what I was trying to ask.
Well, Kyle, what that does is that's actually going to, that will increase the premiums for everybody except for the single payer. Isn't that correct? Because you said it's a 1.7, it's about a 1.7% increase when you go from 65 to 5,000, right?
Correct. Right. So the employer contribution will go up about, $7, because you're at 438 right now. You go up to 445. And so, I can go ahead and adjust this model real quick.
Judge, to
and-
answer your question, it would be, the rates would go up for the county and the employee.
Mhm. Yeah. But if that's what they want to see, let's show it to them. You gonna be able to show it to us, Kyle?
Yes, sir. Just need to check my math. One moment, please. I apologize for the delay.
That's all right. You were blindsided on that question, so and we understand.
No problem.
Appreciate
at all.
you getting it together.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
There you go. We got it.
Okay, I apologize. These percentages right here are incorrect. Just ignore that first cell. So takes the 445 and applies that across the board to all 4 tiers. That would be your new employer contribution, which represents 86% of the total premium, while the employee would pick up the remaining 14%. So then you can see that employee spouse, their contributions would go up around $9 each month. Employed children would go up about $8, and families would actually go up around $13 each month. So the increase to the county would be 14,000, almost 15,000, and employees' contributions would go up about 2,400. I can expand out this a little bit.
So in other words, it would be an increase for everybody's premiums except for the single, right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Just by lowering that. Phew. I mean, Betty, can you elaborate on what you've heard? I know I've heard from the employees saying that there's 2 things they want us to look at explicitly, is the out of pocket and the family,
Yes, that's correct.
spouse and children. So that actually increases it. It does lower the out of pocket, but it does increase the premiums.
It does increase in premiums, and you're correct. The employees and the department heads and elected officials reached out to us, and basically, we need to be competitive to retain and to attract good employees, and we're not. So they just asked us to look at lowering the premiums, to help lower the premiums so the employee can have more take-home money, just like the example I just explained at the jail. So that's one reason that they're adamant or basically begging to help lower the premiums that they come out of their paycheck so they can take more money home. They did ask to lower the out of pocket, but keep in mind, guys, there was only 2 employees last year that hit the maximum out of pocket. So and there was only 27 that hit the thousand out of pocket. So we were just trying to do both things, but if it's going to cause more issues for that maximum out of pocket and lowering their premiums, I'll just tell you that the elected officials and employees will not be happy about that. And this is not my words. They tell me, I don't just come up with this information, and this is their words, and their request. And I have a request from the jailer, and he couldn't be here today. And basically, anything to help lower their premium would be much appreciated with the health insurance, as it was better help attract and retain good qualified employees. So that's just the information I'm passing along to you guys for consideration.
Okay. Squire
Hey, Kyle,
Muller, do you see what you want? Go ahead, Squire.
I'm just wondering if there's any way, I'm still, and I understand, I don't think anybody wants our employees have to pay more by any means. I'm just gun shy with everything going on in the world right now, this pandemic. Is there any way that the two things that they requested was the out of pocket and the other, is there any way that the county pays the difference instead of the employee on that option? Does that make sense?
Well, actually, in the other alternates, the county was putting money in to pay the difference to lower the cost.
Right.
But you're saying just the $5.
Taking it to the 5,000 and then to the 5,000 out of pocket and the 10,000, if we could pay the difference of that. I'm just concerned not knowing, how many people would jump on board and start taking advantage. And obviously I think all of us on this committee want what's best for our employees, hands down. I don't think anybody's going to disagree there, but we're the fiscal court. We're trying to be fiscally responsible, and the pandemic going on right now. And just because, even like Jamie said, we're one of the only ones that, kept a flat premium. Everyone else's went up, and ours will go up. So I'm just trying to be conservative. So I don't know if there's any way to do that, Kyle, if we can, pay the difference. So there's not, on the single plan, so there's no money out of pocket to our employees. Can that be done?
So you could set up an HRA arrangement, which is a health reimbursement account. And so if you think about it as a promise to pay, okay, so right now your deductible is $1,000 for individual and $2,000 for family. If the county wanted to set up an HRA, which means that, say, for example, if an individual hit their $1,000 deductible for individual, the county could set up a promise to pay, which means that you would reimburse the employee $500 of that deductible amount, which means, which would, net out, $500 less in out-of-pocket expense to the employee, if that makes sense. So in reality, if you did lower your max amount of pocket to $5,000, as you're describing, then at the end of the day, the employee, after that HRA reimbursement came back to them, their true max out-of-pocket amount would be $4,500. If you wanted to set it, so a lot of times we'll see employers set it at maybe $500 for an individual or $1,000 for family. So if you're covering your family and you hit your family maximum, or excuse me, your family deductible, so instead of paying $2,000, in all reality, that they would pay $1,000, which again, since your deductible applies to your maximum out of pocket, your trued up net out of pocket expense for that plan year. Again, if you went to that $10,000 max out of pocket, if you lowered it, then technically speaking, their out of pocket maximum would be $9,000, if that makes sense. So again, it's a promise to pay. So you could communicate that out, and it's one of those situations where you don't know. It's hard to project how much of that money you'll actually spend, but that is one way of accomplishing what you're describing there.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. Seems like it's getting a little difficult there. I guess, Judge, I'm going to throw out your thoughts and just listen to what Betty Jo said as far as the couple people that actually reached the limits and stuff. I'm gonna throw my hat in for alternate number 1. Okay.
So let's go back to the original screen. I guess, Kyle, is that?
Let me pull that up here real quick. I apologize. I'm working on about 4 screens right now.
Sure, I understand.
Okay, this is the original screen.
Okay. And is this the alternate number one you're talking about, Squire Muller?
Yes, Judge, it is.
Okay.
It was in the packet 9/14/21. I have a hard time seeing the screen because of my vision, but I'm looking at it on my iPad. If it's the same one we got in our packet, 9/14/21.
Uh,
Yes, that's
And-
correct.
And that keeps the out of pocket at 6,500, is that right? But then lowers the premiums, right?
That is correct, Judge.
Okay. The difference between alternate number one, would you go down a little further, Kyle?
Yes, sir.
The difference, the difference between alternate number one and alternate number two, which lowers the actual out of pocket, is roughly, I guess, $16,000. So for $16,000, you could still lower the premiums and get a lower maximum out of pocket. Is that the way you see it, Kyle? Between alternate one and alternate two?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
Judge, I understand that, but not knowing, I have a feeling, and no one has a crystal ball, that employees are going to take more advantage of this. So that uncertainty of the number, I'm happy to revisit this, like Betty Jo said, in 6 months. And if, not many people opt to change it and the money's there, then I think we could always change it. I'm just, again, trying to be a little conservative with the pandemic going on.
I think we're kind of across the board. Maybe it's the best thing to just take this whole thing back to the court, let the court look at it and make a decision on it. Let's just do it. You've kind of gone across the board, Squire, and I don't know what Squire Sebastian, let me hear what Squire Sebastian wants to do.
As I mentioned earlier, given the situation with healthcare being so uncertain at this point, who knew, again, 2 years ago, we would be where we were last year, as well as going into this year and almost through this year. I would also advocate at this point for that first option. We are showing good faith to our employees, but I know none of us want to get into a situation where we are cash strapped as a community and have to go back when we just revisited tax rates and were able to deliver for our entire community a lower tax rate. I know none of us want to get into a situation where we're increasing that to maintain the same level of services. So I also would advocate for, and I think I mentioned, an incremental approach to addressing the desires of our staff. And I think this demonstrates good faith and an incremental approach to do that by choosing alternate one.
So you said, or you started off saying that you were for just keeping it the way it was. Now, are you for alternate one or keeping it the way it was, Sherry? I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you just said.
I can go with alternate one because we are maintaining the same level of coverage and demonstrating to our employees a good faith effort for what the concerns that they are raising with us, given the uncertainty of the world of healthcare that we're all wading into at the same time.
But not lowering the out of pockets, what you're saying.
I'm saying again, alternate one that's presented on the sheet in front of us.
Okay. So it looks to me like if we go with alternate one, I think that's great and it lowers the cost. It does not address the maximum out of pocket. I do think that if we're going to spend 47,000 for lowering the cost, which is great, and I think that's wonderful for the employees. We could surely afford 16,000 more to lower the maximum out of pocket with alternate two. I think alternate two is the better of them. But I do probably think that it's the best thing to do. This has been a major discussion, and will Jamie be able to be on, and you, Kyle, on the 24th of September to explain and go over this again?
Yes, sir. That is my understanding that he would be available. I'd have to double check his calendar, but I believe he'd be available.
Okay, all right.
Can I just reiterate a point that was made earlier in the meeting, that this is given the same, this is staff taking the same level of coverage that they currently have. Obviously, staff will have the opportunity to make some healthcare coverage changes. So while we're discussing numbers here in front of us, we truly don't know what those numbers will be, because as I asked earlier about a statistical model, no one can demonstrate that. So we don't know that the numbers will remain the same as we're looking at right now.
I'm not sure we know what the cost is going to be. Is that?
No, we don't actually. People can change their plans, so we don't know what the cost will be. So the 60 whatever number you're quoting could actually be considerably higher than that.
She's talking about the bottom line to the county, not the cost to the employee.
That number.
That is correct.
That's based on that. That's true. That is.
So-
Well, then the alternate one could be a lot higher. Could
Absolutely.
change quite a bit as well too.
So I actually received a response back from our internal actuaries. And this is on the fly. These numbers are rough, but typically they would see about a 40% share of the population being employee only. Okay. 18% would be employee spouse. 9.5% would be employee children, and the remaining 33% would be family. So again, this is just based on an actuarial tool that we have internally. I could take your current population of 164 total employees and apply these numbers to the model and see what numbers are produced based on these percentages, so that you could potentially see what the cost impact would be, if that would be helpful.
Can you do it right now?
I'll get to work.
Did our HR director tell us that our universe was a little bit potentially could grow from that? I remember you saying something about our universe of employees being over 200, and that this may open the door for many more to jump in on the plan. At our last meeting, I know I wrote that note down.
They could if we enhance their plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, they
So-
could, but we have no clue how many. We have no clue of that.
Right.
So
So
Betty Jo, if I'm sorry, go ahead. My
I was just
apologies.
going to ask for the percentages just one more time. I heard 40% employee. I wasn't quick enough on the writing.
No, that's totally fine. 39.7 for employee. We
Got
wanna
it.
round it up and make even numbers
Sure.
I can. Employee
Absolutely.
spouse, 18. Employee child, 9.5, so you can round it up to 10. And for family, 32.8, so round up to 33.
Got it.
So if there's a total of 200 employees that are, which would count the 164 that we're showing right now, plus ever how many who have waived coverage, I can run those percentages based on that number if you'd like.
Go ahead, Kyle.
With the employee 39.7, where did that come from? Because right now we pay 100% of employee.
Right, and
That's the
again,
number of employees, right?
Well, this is again, just based on our block of business and what we see and using an actuarial tool, what we typically see is about 40% that's employee only. However, if you guys are paying 100% of employee only, obviously that's going to skew the numbers.
Right,
Okay,
that was
so-
my point. Yeah, correct. That was my point, because we do pay 100% for singles. So
And of those, you have 143 singles right now. Of that amount who actually have a spouse or a child or family, who knows? But again, it's using these percentages would be a rough estimate and doesn't take into consideration those type of factors.
Betty Jo, how many employees have a waiver and receive monies for that?
I believe we're up to 40 employees that receive 234.49 for waiving the county insurance. So they receive, they
230.
receive, yes, ma'am, $2,800 a year if they waive our county insurance and go with their spouse's plan. Or if they're, yes,
And again, that was how many again? That waive that and go with a spouse or with some other type of coverage and don't take the county coverage?
it's around 40 employees,
Thank
35 to 40.
Thank you.
You're
And then we
welcome.
also, we also reimburse for, is it retired reemployed to the
Yes.
state?
Yeah, we have a group of employees, that's retired re-employees, and we have to reimburse the state for their health insurance.
And what does that run per
That's
month?
almost $8,000 a year, isn't it?
It depends if they have a family plan. It runs about anywhere, about $700 to $800 per employee
Per month.
per month.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's
That's
what I'm
basic,
saying. That's
right.
so Squire Sebastian, I think you would be one of those. You, as a retired person,
Yeah, I think
anybody
you
coming
are,
from,
Judge.
huh?
think- Are you as well? No. because
No,
you're in-
I'm teachers. No, I'm not. So, so any state employee that's retired and comes to work for us, basically it costs us almost $8,000 a year in insurance, doesn't it? And they don't get our insurance, right? Betty, or do
Correct.
they do get our insurance?
No, that's correct.
We do not, or
Yeah,
I do.
yeah. Wow.
And I have a considerable amount that I pay out of pocket
Yeah.
for mine.
Yeah, right. That's basically what the family plan is. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah.
Hey, Judge, if we're gonna take this obviously to the whole court, do we want to just have Kyle get all this stuff together and take it to the court? Or what do you think?
Is there any reason of taking alternate 3 to court? That's not been discussed. It doesn't seem of interest.
That's probably would still bring it.
Okay.
I'm not for it, but it probably wouldn't hurt because you give everybody all the options out there.
Okay.
So Kyle, while you're working on this, I think it may be better that if you if you could come back on and Squire Sebastian, Squire Muller, myself, Betty, and Tambra, let's ask what kind of information we want Kyle to have for us for the 24th. So as part of the plans, and then let's do that so we can have all of that and we don't have to take this kind of time on the 24th to present it to the court and make a decision. All right, Betty. So Squire Muller, what are you asking for from Kyle? You want a plan? You're recommending alternate number 1, which lower.
Yeah, I think, Judge, I think Kyle knows kind of where we're at and what we're looking for. I think between what you, Squire Sebastian, and Betty Jo talked about as far as projected numbers, what employees might do. And I know nothing's guaranteed, but she has most of the information. So I think taking those numbers and plugging it into alternate 1 and alternate 2, just to see maybe what the financial impact would be. That, if that makes sense, sir.
Yeah, okay. Betty, let me ask you this question because this may be the most pertinent question in the difference between alternate 1 and alternate 2. And Kyle, you may be able to elaborate too. What is the difference between the out-of-pocket for a state employee with a family plan and so what options do state employees have with a family plan with it when it comes to out-of-pocket? Because if we lower ours by $1,500 in the states is a lot lower than that, we may not see that much of a changeover from the state to us. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing that out. I think that would be good to know. Does it, Betty or Kyle, do you know that answer?
I'm looking it up right now.
One thing that I went ahead and did was I applied the percentages that we typically see to your all's population. So I went ahead and used the baseline of 164.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, if you experience the same thing that we see across the board for our actuarial tool, you would have 65 single, 29 employee spouse, 16 employee children, and then 54 families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just applying those percentages. So I applied those percentage or those numbers here across the board. I'll update option 3 or alternate 3, but you'll see potential increase to the county down here of 317,000 for alternate 1. For alternate 2, increase of 14,000, and then in alternate 3 would be an increase of 357.
So the difference between alternate 1 and alternate 2 would be $14,000 more dollars, is what you're saying, for a lower deductible. You would instead of 317,000, it'd be 300. So you're saying that it's going to cost the county $317 more $1,000 to do it that way?
That's if the enrollment fluctuates
Based
based
on
that model. Yes, sir. But now again, that's not, I wouldn't suspect that, but again, that's just based on those percentages. And it doesn't take into account if somebody waives coverage through the county and they're enrolled in the spouse's plan, or if they just don't have coverage regardless, you would probably see an increase to your enrollment since the county's obviously contributing more. Another thing to consider here is I would need to adjust the employer contribution, because this is using that's an alternate 2. This is if you kept your current payroll deduction strategy. Okay, so now I would need to go back in and adjust these premium numbers. So this increase down here, that's incorrect based on this contribution strategy.
Okay, can you have all of that for us? I think we need 2 different models. I think we need that model as the worst case scenario, and then the other model as just straightforward. And we'll have to figure out, we'll have to have some kind of estimates on where to go. You all understand what I'm saying, Squire Muller and Sebastian? Let's present to the court both the initial model that we saw of the three alternatives, and then if everyone changed over, if the worst case model of the percentages that you all saw. Kyle, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Okay.
So I went ahead and adjusted those percentages in here to reflect the 100%, 65, 65, and 60. And so based on these enrollment counts, actually, I would need to change these as well. I apologize for all the back and forth here, but
No, we
I'm
understand.
trying to give you an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
So alternate one would represent 317,000 increase. Alternate two, if you went with this payroll deduction strategy,
You said, I don't know what you said.
would be 296.
At the top, could you scroll back up to the top under alternate one? So you've got 100%, 65, 65, and 65 instead of 100, 65, 65, and 60.
Okay, let me make sure. Right, so this one is 65. Do I need to change this to 60?
Well, that is what we had been working from. Now, that's the pleasure of the benefits committee to decide that, but we had been working from 60%.
And Judge, I'm sorry, while he's looking at that, I can let you know what the state is. Now, keep in mind, the state has got 4 different plans to choose from. I haven't seen their plan this year. They're still working on it, okay? But they do have like a Living Well PPO and so forth. So they do have 4 different plans, and this is last year. So the maximum out of pocket for a single plan in network was 3,000. The family was 5,500. That is the Living Well CDHP. The Living Well PPO is 3 and 6. The Living Well Basic is 3,750 and family 7,500. Living Well Limited High Deductible Plan was single 5,000 deductible and family 10. Keep in mind, this was last year, so, and they're a little different than us, but those are the figures that I have from the previous years.
Okay. Thank you, Betty. Good
You're welcome.
information. Good information. Did you get it fixed up, Kyle?
Yes, sir. So I went ahead and changed this contribution strategy to 60% of family or toward the family. So that would be $730. That would be a contribution by the county, which would represent a $487 contribution by the employee who's covering their family. So that would lower the county's increase to $277.
And that is with if every single employee actually jumped on our plan. Is that correct, Kyle?
That is assuming the enrollment percentage that I talked about earlier. So it's, maybe 40% of your population is single, 18% of your population has employee spouse, 10% of your population is employee children, and the remaining 33% is family.
And Betty, we're not close to those percentages at this time, are we?
No, absolutely not. We've got
But we're-
3 employee spouse, 12 employee children, 6 family. But of course, that could go up.
And that's assuming some of those percentages increase.
So Kyle, let's have if you could, is it all right, Squires? Let's have him present this. There's two alternatives, the basic and not the increase. Betty, what do you think? What do you think should be presented, Betty?
Well, my opinion, from
Yeah.
what I hear, I mean, the employees would like alternate too. I'm
No,
just saying
no, I
that.
mean, no. I mean, what do we take back to the court? What sheet do we take back to the court?
Well, I don't believe I'm hearing anything from the three of you or committee members about alternate 3. I don't think we haven't even addressed that. And what I'm hearing from the committee is, I think 3's out completely. So maybe just put the current plan, alternate 1 and alternate 2, so it can simplify the form for one, the spreadsheet for one thing. I think it'd be easier to read, because I alternate 3, if you guys are not even discussing it, we should take it off.
Can't afford it? Is what you're
Well,
saying?
you all haven't discussed it very much. I mean, you did, but I don't know. That's up to you guys. If you want to leave it as is, and that's completely up to you all. But I'm just my opinion. I will do the 3, current, alternate 1, alternate 2. Not unless you guys want to put alternate 3 on there. That's up to you all.
Can, scroll down, Kyle, if you would. Let's see to the bottom of it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. I think we did, let's just take the sheet and I think you need to present it in 2 different sheets. The first one was the original that you had, Kyle, and let's go back and design it. I think it states there, I think it's got it in there the way you want it, alternate 2, alternate 3, and then let's come back with if everybody, if the percentages were, this is based on percentages, which may or may not be the likelihood. Okay, so let's have both of those for the 24th meeting.
Absolutely.
All right. Everybody okay with that? All right, thank you, Squire Muller. I don't see Squire Sebastian, but okay. All right.
I'm here.
Anything else?
I would agree, because early on, as I asked for the statistical model. So yes, I'd like to see both sheets. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll take that back to the court. So Kyle, thank you. And we'll have you and Jamie on. And we'll move forward as best we can on the 24th. Hopefully we'll have a decision made where to go, how to go with it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, Betty, you okay? All right. All right, is there any other discussion on the what's in front of us? Seeing no other discussion. Okay. Everybody okay to adjourn?
No,
Nope.
we need to talk about wellness and non-wellness rates.
Okay, wellness and
And
non-wellness, right? Sorry, I'm
the
sorry. I
Guardian
didn't see it.
Group Life.
I had that term. Okay, Kyle, can you talk about wellness and non-wellness rate and group life and dental review?
I
Sorry.
can talk about the wellness, non-wellness rate.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to remind the committee of what we currently have right now for the wellness. Basically, as long as employees are participating in Go 365, they don't have to pay $50 for their health insurance. So basically, they've got to do one thing: get signed up for Go 365 and participate in something. That's what we currently have right now. The numbers look a little lower as you see on the, I gave you all a report. A lot of that is a lot of new employees at the jail, a lot. So they kind of brought our numbers down because they're they're not eligible for health insurance for after 30 days. And plus they have 6 months to get, they have until like November to get signed up. So that looks a little lower, but it's going pretty well. I mean, it's gone better a couple years due to the pandemic. It's going okay. People is participating. Vicky sends out 2 walking challenges a month, and we have anywhere from about 30 employees that signs up a month. They love those walking challenges. Also too, I want to explain that our sexual harassment training that we did on the online. Once everyone completes it, I still have about 10 employees that needs to complete it. I'm actually going to upload, it's an engagement source. I've worked with Humana, and we will be able to receive, I believe, 200 or 300 points for providing the sexual harassment training. So we're going to start actually targeting trainings like that with Go365, because it's a mental fitness, as you call it. And so you'll start seeing some points, extra points, and that would be because of your trainings that we're going to be doing online. That was some pretty good, exciting news from Humana to help me with that. That's all we have. That's all I have currently. I just wanted you all to know.
Are you recommending, Betty, that we have seen not as many, but there is a good number participating in the Go365 and as part of the wellness program?
Yeah, I recommend we keep it the same with is basically participate and go through 65, do something.
Okay.
So Joe, have you had any employees not participate and have to pay the non-wellness rate?
Yeah, good question.
No, because I made it a point to contact them myself and to help them with that. So no, I have not.
Thank you.
And Vicky is my partner in this, and without Vicky, I couldn't do what I do. So she helps me and she helps the employees get signed up. So we're very focused on the Go365 and helping these employees get signed up, even to the point to where at the end of the year, around November, you know who you are, your employees. I'm going to send you an email and I'm going to call you and say, you got to get signed up. You got to get signed up. And they do.
Squire Sebastian.
Thank you, Judge. I remember 2 years ago, or the first year that Squire Muller and I came on the court, and every year since, we've had a lot of encouragement from our broker to increase the level of participation in Go365. So I think we ought to, I think based on his previous comments, we need to look at that. We've talked about that every year and have not done so. So I think we need to talk about that. Unfortunately, I know he's not with us today to echo some of the comments he's made in the past. So it would serve us well to hear from him again in that regard, probably, to see what his thoughts are now, because his thoughts have continuously been, we need to ask more of our employees rather than just signing up for this, because in the end, it helps them too, to actively participate in this wellness benefit. And that has always been his bedrock comment that he continues to come back to. So I think we could benefit from hearing from him again and getting his insight in that, because he's always been an advocate for asking us to do more.
Well, ultimately, it'll come down to us making that. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
I would just say, if Jamie was here, he would, unfortunately wasn't able to be here today, but if he were here, he would echo those comments once again. When Humana pulls engagement participation at the end of August each year, typically it's end of August. With COVID, it's been a little bit different, but they do take into consideration the amount of participation in the Go365 program, which I know Betty Jo and Vicky do. Honestly, you do a great job of at least getting employees to sign up for it. We typically don't see employers go through that much pain to do that, which obviously it benefits not only the employee, but benefits the plan as well. But the more, obviously you're having great participation, But when employees move from silver status to gold or to platinum status, that also helps with the amount of a discount that Humana could potentially give the county when it comes to renewal. So I agree with what you're saying, Squire Sebastian, in terms of, getting them to sign up is great. If we can get them to be even more engaged, even better. How you do that, that is, there's an art and a science to it. You can assign payroll deductions based on the level of participation. So, maybe your greatest contribution would be for those who reach platinum status, or and then you have another contribution amount for those who reach gold status, and so on and so forth. So again, that's something that we can model. It's something that you can certainly take a look at doing. It is an additional strain on your payroll department, because in the middle of the year, somebody could have a change in their payroll deduction amount. But again, though, it serves as a great motivator for employees to not only get engaged, but also reach different levels. And then again, at renewal time, it serves the county well as well. So I feel like Jamie would have probably put that much more eloquently than I just did, but I feel like that would be some of the comments that he would share.
I have a comment about that. I think, yes, I agree with maybe upping the something, but not this year. No disrespect. We are dealing with the pandemic, as you all say. We never know what we're going to face. I don't believe this is a year to be putting more wellness on the employees, and we're just trying to come to work and not get COVID. I do not think that we should be doing this in January of 2022. We just now discussed it. So I do agree with everyone that, we do need to up the game, especially if the court's going to up, paying the premium more. I definitely agree. I just don't think it's a time to do that and put the because of the pandemic, to add something at the last minute for the September 24th, and we don't have a plan of how we need to up it. That's just my opinion on that. I just, no disrespect to anybody, but you are not working day to day, every hour in this office. And the stress of the employees that's calling me with COVID, their employees, keeping track of this. We have had, along with other employees, it's been a very stressful time, very. I would be more looking at putting an extra EAP on the county instead of putting extra wellness at this point. I'm sorry, I have to totally disagree with it next year. Thank you.
Well, this is, if you would, Kyle, have Jamie give us some options on the 24th on if we upped it to a small degree or to a mid-level degree or to a high degree. What would be the options that we could add? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Betty, for your comments. The next one is the Guardian Group Life and Dental Review. Kyle, can you, or Betty, who can update us on that?
We're expecting Guardian to release their renewals, I've been told, in mid-October. At this point, we don't know what to expect in terms of if they're going to release an increase or rate hold. Just speaking from my block of business with BIM Group and what we have with Guardian, we haven't seen any of their renewals come through so far this year. So I would say more to come, but we are pushing because we obviously understand that you guys are trying to make all of your renewal decisions. But as soon as we receive word from Guardian, we make sure that we make the court aware.
Okay. Betty, you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions? Any other business? Seeing no other business, all right, we will adjourn then. And Kyle, I think you have some direction of what to do for the 24th. All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching and a great discussion for our employees. Thank you.